आवश्यक सूचना। इस धारावाहिक के इस भाग का अभिलेख विभिन्न समय पे किया गया है। इसका मूल कारण है भारत व अमेरिका का समय क्षेत्र भिन्न होना। अतः यदि आपको अचानक से समय या वस्त्रों में परिवर्तन दिखे तो आश्चर्यचकित होने की आवश्यकता नहीं है। अब इस भाग का आनंद लीजिए और ढेर सारा ज्ञान प्राप्त कीजिए। Today we have Srishty Dua. दुआ 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 जो भेजी थी दुआ। हाँ, लिखो।
मेरे को पता है इतने सर पे चोटें लग चुकी हैं इस वजह से।
मतलब इस
गाना गा
वजह से
पूरा।
वो जाके आसमां से टकरा। Hello everyone, welcome to the after class. This is Madhav and today we have Srishty Dua, an overseas guest. Srishty is a nano engineer and works as a researcher with a company in San Diego, and she works with biosensors. Biosensor is a device which you attach to your arm and it detects your glucose levels, etc. So first of all, Srishty, thank you so much for joining in. How have you been?
Thank you, Madhav. I've been great. How have you been?
I've been great. How's life going at San Diego?
Oh, life's going amazing at San Diego, actually. I'm having an amazing time. So, if you don't know, San Diego is a city in California and it's a beach city. So, you see, actually, it's not just a beach city, it's definitely a beach city, but there are mountains where you see snow. If you go like with after a 2 hour travel, you can see mountains with snow. You can see deserts here. There's beaches. There's a lot of hiking possibilities. So yeah, it's amazing. I'm
So,
loving it.
how often do you hike?
I hike almost every other weekend. If I do backpacking, on the other hand, if sorry,
It's okay. It's okay. Is that ISO?
Yeah.
Today we have actually two guests for the podcast. How would you explain nano engineering to a layman?
Nano engineering, as the name suggests very clearly, it's nano, which is 10 to the power minus 9, a billionth of a meter.
A billionth of a
If
meter.
you divide a meter into a billion parts, that one part is a nanometer. And just for reference, I'll have to actually check. I forgot now. Where is anyway? Sorry.
This is what rote learning looks like, everyone. So that is
Yeah,
why
exactly. No, it's not rote learning. I actually checked one time. I picked up my.
she scrammed up all the stuff for the podcast. Okay.
I just for reference sake, I took one of my hair that shed at that day. Anyway, so I put it in the SEM. SEM is something that enables you to see micrometer or nanometer level scale. So I actually saw my hair in the SEM. But what we work on is 10 to the power minus 9, which is even thousandth of the diameter of the hair. So it's that small. It cannot be seen with the naked eye. So how do we work on it is we use tools or equipments like SEM, which is scanning electron microscope, which helps us to to see things on that scale. It's like high level zoom in.
So that must be really interesting to work on.
Definitely, yeah. It's interesting because it's not something that's taught to us. Nano engineering, basically what we do is we edit things, we change the properties of things by changing very small things on the nanometer scale. And it changes the properties of that thing to such a level that wasn't studied before nano engineering, that wasn't even considered before nano engineering. So it's a very new field, and it's very interesting because we have started to only realize the potential of nano engineering. But there are things that have been in the market now, that are being applied in the market now, but it's I feel that there's so much more in nano engineering, in the nano engineering field, that's not known to us yet.
So it's a very fertile area.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that's what makes it very exciting.
And like you said, you change a little, very tiny attribute of a thing, and you change the entire properties. It works like life, right? You change your tiny habits, and consistently doing that, it gives you tremendous results.
Ripple effects, yeah.
Yeah. And if anyone doesn't know, she is the idea behind the double tap Iron Man suit in Avengers Infinity War.
I think the field is the idea behind it. Yes, I am not the idea behind it.
A few moments later.
Do you want to take a break from life?
Okay, I'll sell this to you. The whole podcast has to be a good vibe, which I am not feeling right now.
Sold.
Okay, thank you. I am so sorry यार, मुझे ऐसा लग रहा है कि मैं तेरे को परेशान करे जा रही हूँ बस.
अरे डायरेक्टर साहब कुछ तो बोलिए.
बैकअप
बैकअप
पिक्चर बंद.
पिक्चर बंद. बैकअप भाई बैकअप.
I know of this scientist from MIT University. She uses different materials found in nature, and she collaborates that with the fabric to make such artifacts or such clothes which change colors, change shapes, and they have such unique properties on its own that yeah, it's like fashion meets nanotechnology, and it's an amazing baby comes out of it. Yeah. Its uses are in all fields. Talk about medicine, medical, health, mechanical, electronics, coding. What else is there? Biotechnology, which the field that I am in. Every field that you can think of, even fashion, can have uses of nanotechnology in it.
How did you get into nano engineering? I mean, was it already clear in your head right after your 12th standard, or you just had to you made a switch? Because as much as I remember, you were into electronics and communication.
Yes, my undergrad was in electronics and communication. And after that, I moved to San Diego for my master's in nano engineering. But I knew that I wanted to get into this field since I was in 11th class. I always knew that I wanted to do something in science because that was my favorite subject in school, and I really liked talking about science, reading more about science. But in 11th class, there was a seminar that happened about different career opportunities, new opportunities, things that are upcoming in the market, things like that. And there was this one mention of nanotechnology, and I had never heard of it. So I just went back to my home. I started searching what all it is about, and to put it in easy words, I would say I just never stopped reading into it. There's this website called nanohub.org that I would spend hours and hours on, just going through its material, going through its courses, to get a feel of it. I actually, even during my electronics and communication engineering undergrad, I would reach out to professors in my university or other universities in Delhi if they had even the slightest link to nano labs, nano related labs. I would just reach out to them if I could work with them during the summers. And that was what I really wanted to do, was to get a taste of it hands-on, because everything that I had done before that was on paper. So I didn't know what if I actually go for my master's in nano engineering and while working on it, I didn't like it. What then? So I thought that the best way to go about it is just get a little bit of hands-on experience. So I worked in a nano optics lab and things like that. And after my undergrad, I also interned at IISC, Indian Institute of Science, to work on nano thin films. So yeah, it gave me a pretty good idea of what I was getting into, and I was excited for sure.
So basically, you had a chance to explore the glimpses of that field, and that is how you realize that you're actually into it. So have you been happier, or do you Let me put it this way. Do you ever think that EC would have been better than nano engineering? Does that thought ever occur to you?
Yeah, so I feel like if I was not into nano engineering, I would have taken some other course, for example. But I feel the end goal, where I'm working right now, what I work on, if I could have reached that end goal through some other means, I would have been happy. But electronics and communication, I don't think that was my thing, because I worked on it for 4 years. There were subjects, courses in my undergrad that I really liked, that I loved actually. But as a whole, I never thought that that was my thing. I always knew that I'm learning it, it's great, and I know it's going to help me at some point, but I don't want to make a career out of it. Nano engineering was just a path which made me explore biosensing field. But if I could have reached the biosensing field or some other exciting field like this one through another means like biomedical or biotechnology ka course karna, it would have been equally, I would have been equally happy.
So you were learning for the sake of learning, basically.
Yes.
Doesn't happen with everyone, doesn't happen every day. It's really nice to know that. So, if you wish to get into nano engineering, that means you can get through any discipline, any stream.
Yeah, of course. As I said, even my friends, some of them are in battery research, some of them are in semiconductor research, not just research, as in they're working in MNCs and they work on these fields. Some of them are in pharmaceuticals, all of them from my batch, from nano engineering. Some of them work on cancer research, stem cell research. Nano engineering is just an approach that's taken in all of these fields. You can be in these fields independently and go through the nano route, by being in the biotechnology field, by being in the mechanical field, by being in the semiconductor electronics field. But nano engineering just brings all of that together. It's an interdisciplinary field where you just understand an approach towards things. That's all.
So you can simply do undergrad in any field, any engineering field, and then get into nano engineering for your postgrad.
Yes.
Do you feel there is a difference in the working environments in US and India?
If we talk about either of those startups or MNCs, I would like to cover both actually. For MNCs, I would say that a lot of hubs or the headquarters of most of the companies that are out there in the world, the headquarters are in the US. Microsoft, Amazon, Facebook, a lot of companies. And that brings a ton of job opportunities if you are closer to the headquarter, for example. So I think the number of work opportunities, the choices that you have, and if you want to go up the ladder, being close to the headquarters is the dream of people, basically. I wouldn't say that there are not work opportunities in India. There are, but it also depends on what kind of goal you have in life. Apart from that, I would say the pay that you get in different countries differs. In US, you are paid in a way where you feel happy. I have talked to a lot of people and they feel that the major difference while working in India and while working in US is that the pay that you get in US, in the companies when you are in US, it might be the same company in India and US, but you feel happier with the pay that you get when you are in the States. Apart from that, I would say the work culture might slightly differ based on the laws of the different countries. It also depends on the state that you are in US. Some states provide you better work environment, some states might not provide you that much of a better work environment. If we go to startups, though, what happens is, this has been my vision for my work career, for my career life. Going ahead is something that I want to start something of my own when I go back to India. everyone who I share this goal with or vision with suggests me that before going to India and starting something of your own, you should definitely try starting your own company or starting your own thing while you are in the States, because it's far easier. It gives you far more experience in a short time. And once you have reached, once, like, for example, in a couple of n years, you have gained some experience, you have gained some expertise in that field. When you go back to India, you'll have more credibility. There will be more difficulty, and it will be easier to go through those difficulties once you have had that basic experience in the States. It's just far way easier to start your own company in US than in India. So getting this experience first and then going to India is much easier, according to the people who have suggested me so to do so. US has, everything is very ordered. You just have to follow those steps, and it's very easy. I mean, of course, you need to have that great idea and you have to know how to implement it and all those things. That homework has to be done. But once you do have that, once you have the right mindset to do things, the way that you execute it is pretty simple. If you're, I do not have first-hand experience, but this is from all the people that I've talked to in my own company who have had their own startups before, and also a lot of my cousins who are working to get their own startups leveled up in India based on their experiences.
Okay, so some first-hand experiences and some experiences of the credible ones around you. Okay. Do you think there is a difference between these two countries for a woman?
The difference. I even that question I would like to bifurcate into different zones. For example, if you talk about safety, in both the countries, you have to take care of yourself. You have to look out for yourself, no matter where you are. It's not that US doesn't have crime rates. It does. And it also depends on which state you are. Again, even in India, also in US, you have to look out for yourself based on where you are, what the crime rates of that state are. Secondly, work opportunities, I would say, are there in both the countries as well. The difference comes out where a lot of people, for example, in engineering roles, not a lot of girls in the first place, they start with their studies in these fields. I remember when I was in 11th, 12th class, I was a class of 50 students and only 8 of us were girls. That's it. So when that ratio is so skewed from the very start, from the education level, when you actually go to work, of course, you would see that level of difference anyway. Apart from that, the last thing I would say is the work culture, in the sense that how the kids are raised. In US, for example, I would say that boys and girls are raised almost the same way. They are not shown that girls are supposed to do this and boys are supposed to do this, or girls are supposed to take these career paths and boys are supposed to take these career paths. This is safe for girls, that is safe, or that is a good choice for boys. Nothing like that. Everyone is free to take whatever career choice they want to take. And I think it's good for both girls and boys in US, because not when you go for engineering courses in US, you don't always see that sex ratios completely skewed up in US. And there are boys out there in other careers, other fields, other courses as well, which is great, which is what we want. We don't want only girls to be in some fields and only boys to be in other fields, which is a lot, I feel, in India. So I feel the maximum difference that comes up, every difference that you feel in work cultures or work environments in both US and India is rooted to how kids are raised in both the countries.
Okay. Along with how they're raised, you have also basically mentioned about the education system as well. So, Since you have studied in the US as well uh, before working, do you feel there is any drastic difference in the education system of the two countries that has had an impact on you as a student?
Oh, definitely. Yeah. I feel like I knew what to expect before coming here to the States for my education, but experiencing it firsthand was a very different, was something that I was not prepared for, I would say. Because Indian education system is very set on how a kid is supposed to proceed from this class, this grade to the preceding grades. But in US, you have so many choices. You decide how you want to proceed in life. You decide what information or how much information or at what speed you want to take that information in. Everything you decide based on who you are, the student, and possibly also the people who give them guidance decide that. But in India, every kid goes through the same set path. There's not a lot of choice. I would say even during my undergrad, we were given this so-called choice of the course that we can take in the last year, not even the first 3 years. There was this choice of taking, you can take one of the 4 courses. Everyone picked their choices, and then once they realized, there are only 2 kids in this one specific course, they just chucked the course off, because there's no point in investing in a course and hiring a professor or having a professor in that position. There were only 2 kids interested in that. So those 2 kids did not get a choice exactly. So that happens, I think, in a lot of colleges. I wouldn't say all of the colleges, but in a lot of colleges in India, which is not the case in US. You have so many choices in how you want to proceed, which is, I think, an amazing thing, because everyone's dreams are different, everyone's approach is different, and if your studies are compatible with who you are, you get the best results. But if the incompatibility is there, it's so weird. It's like asking maybe like a crocodile to climb a tree.
I was gonna say fish, but it's okay.
Yeah, it's a fish. A fish climb a tree. Whatever animal you choose. Yeah, it's good. I couldn't think of animals like who cannot climb a tree. I'll tell you why I said that, because when I was speaking that, I was thinking of that story where this monkey is sitting on the back of a crocodile, and that something. I was like, monkey can definitely climb a tree, crocodile cannot.
Were you among those kids whose dream got scrapped off?
Yes, I was one of those kids whose choice of course got scrapped off, but that's okay. I think I have been trained enough in life to not have choices in India that I was okay at that point. But then when I actually got in US and I had all those choices, it felt amazing. It felt exciting. But I'm not sure if I took the full advantage of it. I'm not sure of that even till date. I tried my best, of course, but I'm not sure, because I've not been trained like that. So I've not been trained like that.
The Marathi accent just popped up.
That weird accent just came like, I'm sorry.
Sorry. Waiting with the British accent.
Triple tax. Yani teen guna lagan dega. TK?
As an Indian kid, we are trained in a way that it's a little difficult. It comes as a little bit of a cultural shock when you come to a place where you have so many choices, where you can actually ask for more choices. If choices are not even shown to you, you can ask for more choices. It's all about asking. That's what I learned. It's like, if you feel that something doesn't work for you, if you feel that you need something more or something different, just ask for it. That idea of asking for something that you might need never comes to me organically. I'm still training myself for that, I would say.
And I feel asking is a strength. Because if you compare the two situations, one where you're not asking and the one where you're asking, you will always find out that it is always easy to not ask.
Yes.
Because you're actually in your comfort zone. You're not letting the other person know due to fear of judgment. But when you reach out to someone and ask for help, that means that you have come beyond that fear of being judged. So I think that is a braver thing to do.
I think apart from having this cultural shock of asking questions or asking for things that you feel you deserve or you feel would be better for you, I think there are so many other things that the set path that you've been trained in the Indian education system, it has a lot of repercussions in also, like, for example, we had this thing in the master's course, even in actually undergrad courses in US, in universities, that every teacher, every professor has their own TA. It's a teaching assistant, and they are well qualified to solve your doubts, guide you through your course, every student through their course, because the professor cannot be with every kid at all times. They have their own research labs, they have their own things going on. So, and there are like sometimes 50 to 200 kids in a class, and every professor cannot cater to every student's needs. Of course, you can get an appointment with the professor if you want, but for your general queries, general growth in that course, or any doubts that you might have, the TAs are there for you. They are there for you to guide you through the whole course. I never had this experience in India, and when I was introduced to this concept, I was like, interesting. It must be helpful. Sure, for sure, it must be helpful. But I never actually utilized that feature of getting help from the TAs, because I always felt like I can do this by myself. It might take a little bit more time, but I can do this by myself. But where I was very wrong, because I was in a quarter system, and unlike a semester system, quarter system is for 3 months, and the courses are very fast paced. So you don't have that time where you can take time by yourself to go through everything in your own time. So you have to reach out to the TAs, you have to reach out to them to get your doubts cleared. Maybe you are stuck on something which might just take a 5-minute discussion with a TA, and you're just spending days on it. You cannot afford that without in a quarter-based system. So when I was almost done with my master's is when I realized that I fucked up pretty bad, because I should have utilized that help from the TAs that they were giving, and I did not. Of course, I mean, think about it. Those TAs, they're so good in their courses that they are teaching. It increases your contacts, because the whole game in US in finding jobs is having good networking skills. So that helps you with that. You get to meet a lot of people with knowledge that is different from yours. You are in a different country, you want to take all the experience, you want to have the full utilization of your course. And that major thing that I could have had, that I could have utilized, I did not. Just because I never knew how to ask for help, I never paid attention to it. I just felt that, I can do this. That's what I've been doing all my life, in my undergrad, in my school. I don't need that help. I mean, that it just never occurred to me. I wouldn't say that I thought of it and I said, I don't need it. It just never occurred to me in the first place. I think that's the problem.
Now, I want to ask one last question. When do you think someone should move abroad to study? I mean, what are the deciding factors for a parent that they should take into consideration before sending their child abroad for her or his education?
When to move to US? I would say there are a lot of factors, I agree, that contribute to that decision. Every person is different. Every person has had a different lifestyle. They are different individuals, different places they want to go to. But the whole point is maximizing your broad perspectives on life, getting used to this rather than this. But going through that huge change at a point when you are fresh out of school, I feel can be a very difficult thing to do.
Yeah, that's what I push. I always push that study your undergrad from your country itself and then move out for postgrad, because that till that time you get a little level of maturity as well, because you have to deal with a lot of stuff.
Definitely. I feel like even when you don't, let me know if I'm wrong or if you've had a different experience. Even after, even getting from school to college is a huge change in life. You get exposed to so many things. You get exposed to so many different people from so many walks of life, from different parts of the country. Maybe get used to that first. Maybe see how that treats you or how that works out for you. And no matter what field you choose in India, it's only going to be beneficial for you when you choose to come to US. If you do, it's not going to push you down, because USA does value students from India. It's not like they don't. So whatever field you want to pursue in India, go for it for your undergrad level. Explore life and people and yourself while you're in undergrad. Try to live away from your family if you want to or if you can, and then maybe make that big change when your family will be so away from you, when your huge support system will be so away from you. So I definitely believe that for your growth in the right direction, if you want to put it in the right direction, it has to be after your undergrad. But apart from that, another major reason is financial. Investing in your undergrad in US requires so much more than investing for your masters in US.
Yeah.
And because you also have to think about the returns that you'll get. What jobs will you get after you do your undergrad? I mean, you've invested so much for your undergrad. Can you do your masters and PhD now? Can you invest again for your masters and PhD now? You'll have to go for a job. And after you're fresh out of you're out there for a job after your undergrad, are you going to get the job that you want or you deserve to get that return? Because people these days want master level degree and PhD level degrees. Are you sure that you'll be able to get that return after your undergrad? So I think all these factors, financial and your personal growth, have to be taken into account. But life here seems very golden and amazing, but you have to wash your own clothes, you have to do your own laundry, you have to cook your own food not just once a day, 3 times a day. You have to arrange your breakfast, lunch and dinner, which you've been getting all your life from your parents or whoever cooks in your family. I am guessing as a school student, no one would be cooking their own foods at home.
Yeah,
I think
really
that's
tough. And I resonate with you on that, because I used to live alone. There was a window of 4.5 years when I used to live alone, and I was working at that time, and it was so damn difficult for me to cook food. So for a student, it will be an uphill task every day.
Definitely, you have to get used to that lifestyle. You have to cram all those things that are necessary for your living and your work. You've always been doing just studies. That's it.
Yeah.
And after you have invested so much in your education for your undergrad or your master's or your PhD, would you really want to spend $10 for every meal to eat outside? I don't think so. It's very expensive to eat outside to get that one meal. So you have to cook yourself, and not just that. You have to take control of your bills, of your health. If you get sick, who's going to take care of you? Are you that independent? Ask yourself. Emotionally and physically too, I would say. There are so many things. You have to be a proper independent person. So maybe from here, go a little here during your undergrad time in India. Get exposed to different kinds of people, different kinds of experiences, and then maybe move to this.
Yeah, one baby step at a time.
Yeah.
Instead of taking the big leap.
Another point I feel that goes into another factor that goes into deciding when you want to go out is always know that your major support system that has been there all your life, your family, will be far away from you. They are a call away, definitely, video calls and everything have made lives so much easier to connect to your family. But there's also a huge time difference. Both
Yeah.
the countries are on opposite sides of the earth. So my point is that you have to find that time slot in your day. Only that time slot is the portion where you can connect with your family or your friends in India. That's it. So they are a call away, but not exactly, is what I'm trying to say.
And if you're not emotionally ready at that time zone, if you don't want to connect at that particular point of time, then it's gone again. And then you might not have that rush of feelings again, or you might have that rush of feelings again, but you'll hold yourself back. So I think that is also a factor. You were talking about uh, being very much responsible and taking care of each and every tiny stuff. That I feel also affects your mental health, especially the finance
Definitely.
part. The finance
Yeah.
part, because you have a very big pressure on your head that you have to perform. And
I attest to that. Yes.
and you know what, when you're studying here in India, like if you're doing your your undergrad here, if there comes a time where you realize that, okay, I am playing the wrong game, I need to get out of this and move to something else, you're always free
Yeah.
to do that. You're any day free
Yeah.
to do that. But when you're studying abroad, especially if you're doing undergrad, the finances are not, they are very big. You can resonate with that.
True.
It'll affect your mental health abruptly if something goes wrong. So that is why I feel
Definitely.
that you should have a level of maturity before moving out of the country, because even if you move out of your own city, you'll find that your life has suddenly flipped. Moving to a different country is, it is way too much scenario change.
Yeah. Definitely. I'll, if you allow me, I also have a story to share, my own story. So when I moved here for 2 years, well, for 1.5 years, when my master's was going on, it was a weight on my shoulders. That since I had not worked in India before coming to the States, I wasn't sure if I was gonna get a job after I graduate. And it's definitely a field that's amazing where I'm at, but it's not as in par with computer science and IT and mechanical, those backgrounds. It's still lower than that. I mean, when it comes to how prevalent it is in the industry, there are not that many job options or vacancies for nano engineering students as there are in computer science and other fields, electronics and other fields. So I always had that doubt in my head, what if I don't get a job? And I had that huge weight on my shoulders, which I felt suddenly dropped when I got the job. And I felt that difference. I honestly felt that difference. I felt like for 2 years, I was just in a very focused, when you're just focusing on something and then you just take a sigh of relief. I felt that difference when I got the job. And there was that one quarter in the year, 3-4 months, when there was so many different courses and so many things that were put in my face literally that I had to work on it. They were all new things that I had to work on. They were all definitely exciting, but there were so many new things and I had to excel at everything. It took a toll on my mental health too. I feel like I faced anxiety to a huge extent for the first time in my life. Like I wouldn't be able to sleep. I wasn't eating properly because I am responsible for my sleep. I am responsible for my food. No one's going to take care of me. And I wasn't able to cook because I was all the time stressed about my coursework. Because of new things, but also because of that weight on my shoulders that I have to excel. There's no other way around. I took that decision to come to US. I took the decision that I have to do nano engineering. It's all in my hands and I have to prove myself. Those 3-4 months were crazy. I also fainted one time. I took it by my own speed. I came out of it. But what I'm trying to say is it's not a cakewalk. It's a lot of things that you have to work on. Yeah, I completely agree with you on the mental health thing. And I see a lot of people facing that issue. When you graduate and you don't get a job, either it's because of COVID or for whatever reasons, and there's that thing on your head that you might have to go back to India and you might not get a job here, because there's that window where you have to get a job. You cannot just keep staying in US
Right.
and try finding jobs. So a lot of my friends face that they could go to India, they might have to leave India for India. And what happened to all the investment that you did? It can have a huge impact on your mental health for sure.
Yeah, this is exactly what I was wanting you to talk about, because as I said, a lot of kids are like, after my 12th, I'm gonna go to Australia. I'm gonna go to.
Yeah, I see a lot of people having those dreams.
Yeah.
They don't know the practical side of it.
Exactly. I am not trying to hold anyone back, or I'm not trying to demotivate anyone through this episode. But the point is that if you look at the half picture and make a decision, it generally turns out to be a bad one. So that is what I don't want anyone to do, especially the ones that I know or the ones that I can reach out to. So you have to look at every side. You have to look at the flip side of it. You have to look at the bright side, the dark side, and then make a decision. If you are ready to pump in this much amount of money and you can take care of yourself, then I think it's a correct decision. But even then, I would just agree 20-30% to it. More than that, I'd always say first have a little level of maturity which is required to take care of yourself. And I don't think it's a little level of maturity. It's a very high level of maturity, because you have to do it consistently every single day. That comes only when you reach a certain age and have certain experiences. If you really want to experience how it feels like studying abroad for your undergraduation, just move out of your city. That will give you the trailer of the movie. If you like the trailer, then simply go watch the movie. And if you don't like the trailer, stay here in India. Even here, there's a lot of opportunity here in India, because it's so fertile. It's where there are problems, there are solutions, and if you can provide a solution, you can make a living out of it.
Definitely. So make a well-informed decision. But how do you know if you're mature? I think reach out to people, get to know other people's experiences. And I think you know yourself best, but also if you go to US or any other country without the support of your parents, I think that's also very difficult, because they are the people who will be providing you that little support while they are in India and you are in the States. So you need that support from them as well. Otherwise, you're just adding on to your mental health issues, I feel. They can also make a good enough judgment of if you are ready or not.
I would like to add one more point to it. If your family situation or circumstances do not allow you to move even out of the city, what you can try is you can take care of your electricity bill. You can start taking care of your Wi-Fi bill, your gas bills, your food bills, and all. Try to just try to run a household. Even if you can do 50% of it, that means you can really move out of the city, and gradually you can move out of the country, because running a household consistently is a very difficult task. I realize that if you can run a household consistently, if you can run it well, you can run a full-fledged business. This is what my experience is, and this is what I feel about the kids who are unable to move even out of their own city. If you cannot move out, start taking care of your house.
And you can't know if you can do it or not until you actually try it, because you've not been taught all of that all your life.
High five on that.
Yeah.
We all only have agents around who can help you with the visa and stuff, but there are very few people who are actually sharing their experiences and who are actually trying to bring value, and I'm really glad that you're one of them. Thank you so much for signing in. I really had a fun podcast with you.
Thank you so much, Madhav. I feel like the conversations were so amazing. I was so invested into the conversations. Thank you so much for inviting me. I feel honored.
Let's wind it up, okay?
Chalo. Thank you so much
for watching this episode. You've been awesome. If you like this episode, then please show it by hitting the like button. And if you think someone needs to listen to this conversation, then do share this episode with them. And if you haven't subscribed, then please subscribe to this channel. And if you already have, then thank you so much for subscribing. You've been awesome. Tata, bye bye, take care, and cut.
मैंने इस वाले कैमरे में देखा जब तू ये सब कुछ बोल रहा था, चलेगा क्या?